Bo Nix here. Our first question will be from Jordan Hill.
Well, I don't know if you've seen this, but right now you and your dad have the same number of passing yards through your Auburn careers. What's it like seeing something like that? And kind of bigger picture, just how helpful has he been, knowing that he understands the pressure and the things you faced at Auburn?
I don't know how you found that stat, but that's pretty good, and pretty cool too. But it's even better to know that I'm gonna beat him eventually. But I think it just says a lot about, the situation and just Auburn in general. I've been blessed to be a part of something that he was a part of, and so many people after me. But it's exciting, and that's an incredible stat going into a year, for sure.
All right, our next question is from Justin Hokanson.
Hey, Bo. Talk about just this offense. I think in the past, past couple of years, you've had to scramble a lot. You've been flushed out of the pocket a lot. How does this offense maybe create opportunities for you to be more patient, maybe check down with a running back or a tight end? Like, what are the differences in this offense compared to last to maybe create more patience with you and allow you to stay more in the pocket?
Yeah, I think just like you said, just allows a few more check downs and just a few different route combinations that are a little bit different that allow different places to go with the ball. But this year we're excited to have these new guys at receiver, a lot of inexperienced guys who will eventually continue to get experience the more games they play, and they'll continue to get better and better. And then obviously having a returning offensive line is going to be awesome. And those guys up front are working really hard, preparing and looking at a lot of different looks, so that when the time comes, we can have success throwing the ball.
Our next question from Bill Cameron.
Well, if you would talk about the receivers and the chemistry that you've been able to build, how many different guys do you think you can get involved in the passing game?
I think that's the most exciting part is how many we can get involved, from tight ends to receivers. There's a lot of receivers, like I just mentioned, that are inexperienced. I believe Demetrius Robertson and Shedrick Jackson are really the only two that's got significant amount of playing time in the SEC. A few other guys have gotten some snaps, but it's not quite the same as playing over and over and over in a lot of big games. So those guys are get to experience that for the first time. I think because of that, it'll just make them better and better. And obviously, we'll have guys with who had small roles in the past and now have big roles that will have big shoes to fill. But excited that they can get out there and do it because, like you said, we have gotten that chemistry and those reps and the timing down and all that good stuff from fall camp to even back in the summer. So we're excited. We've got a lot of reps. We've thrown a lot of footballs to each other. And so we're ready to get out there and play against a different team.
All right, our next question is from Steve Moulton.
Hey, Bo, appreciate the time today. Heading into this season with the wealth of experience that you do have, where do you feel like maybe you're stronger at heading into this year as opposed to previous years?
That's a great question too. It's just something different about having playing 2 years and knowing schemes of a lot of defenses, just understanding and recognizing a lot of things before the snap. And I think pre-snap is where I'll have the biggest significant difference. Really in my head, I'll know exactly the situations that they can present and the defenses that they can possibly be in, just because I can eliminate the ones that they're not going to be in. So just mentally knowing where to go with the ball. Knowing the defense, and then after that, just knowing within our system where the ball should go. But the main part is just knowing what to do, each route combination, and where to go with the football based off the coverage. I feel really good about that because I've had, like you said, a lot of experience. Past few years, I've seen a lot of looks, and I like how our schemes are going to fit those looks.
Next is Mark Murphy.
Yeah, but what's sort of the general vibe around the team getting ready for your first game and compared to last year when there was a lot of uncertainty about whether the whole season would even be played?
Yeah, we're excited to be in front of a large crowd again. I think that's the most important part, just the atmosphere. We'll be back to how college football is supposed to be. A lot of things that last year we couldn't do and now doing this year. And I'm just glad that people are finally starting to let us go back to normal and have a lot of normal around the campus, even just on game day. But like you said, the vibe around the team is extremely positive. We're really tired of hitting each other and playing against each other in practice every day. But that's how it should be, because that means the other team is pushing you and the other side of the ball is making you better. I know our defense has done that for us. Excited to play a different defense besides our own, but I'm looking forward to watching them play against a different offense as well.
All right, Nathan King.
Hey, Bo, what do you think you guys can gain the most from this kind of opponent? You guys kind of have this game and then the Alabama State game before a really big matchup at Penn State. What do you think as an offense you're going to try to gain the most out of in these two games?
I think just kind of find our balance as an offense, find a rhythm, find exactly what we're good at and what we can become really good at. Because at the end of the day, that's the kind of the key, is just finding those plays, find those formations, or find the people that you can get the football that you're comfortable with, and knowing that at the end of the day, whatever situation you are in a game, even in a big game, you can go to those certain things that you're good at, and you can find some balance and some rhythm in an offense. And so having these first two games before the big national stage game, these two games are going to be extremely important for us. We got to come out there and play sharp to give us a good positive energy moving forward and just give us some confidence. I think having a spring ball this year was even more huge for us, just because we get even more repetition, and something we lost last year. And heading into the season last year, we didn't really know what we had, and so this year we kind of know a little bit more of our foundation, more of who we are, and that'll help us moving forward so we can get really good at those things in the first couple games.
All right, Bennett Durando.
Hey, Bo, I'm curious if there are any sort of biggest differences that you notice as players in terms of Coach Harson's game prep routine as opposed to the previous staff. And then also, we heard sort of about the take the stairs if you're not injured thing last week. Are there any other sort of things like that around the team facility that he's implemented?
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a bit of things that he's implemented. And I'm pretty sure, like, obviously this is the only coaching change I've had, but I bet any kind of coaching change is drastically different from the others. I know we've had a lot of different things going on, but that's just Coach Harson's way of doing things. And even in the past, is what has worked for them is going to work differently now, and we're going to do different things that'll work better for us now. And that's just the kind of Coach Harsin is, and he's very detailed. And so we'll have a lot of different things.
Is there a biggest specific difference?
Maybe just the flow of practice is different. Obviously, Coach Malzahn had a completely different plan than Coach Harsin, and so just their ideas of practices are different, and so that's probably the biggest difference.
All right, up next is Jeff Spiegel.
Well, the competition between you and TJ was perceived to be pretty close. That competition, how much did it make you better? How much do you think it made TJ better?
I think it made both of us better. Just having somebody behind you, taking every rep that is pushing you, that's just obviously making you better. And this competition, it was just another way for me to get better and just to compete with myself. I was just confident the entire time, and just knew consistently to come out each and every day and bring my best, and everything will work out.
All right, we have time for about 4 more questions. First, Justin Ferguson.
Bo, you talked about getting the tight ends more involved in the passing game. What about the running backs? That was something we heard about, especially in the spring. How far do you think those guys have come along and becoming better options for you guys, running routes and catching balls?
I think just our offensive scheme will allow that a little bit more. Those guys have had good fall camp and getting out of the backfield, catching the ball, a lot of different protections and stuff that allow them to release and get out of the backfield. But it's just mainly scheme and just finding ways to get, for instance, to get Tank the ball in a different way from handing the ball off to him, which would just take some pressure off of him and our line, and open up other things that will allow us to run the ball later in the game.
All right, next is Jeff Shearer.
Well, congratulations on your engagement. I think
Thank you.
maybe a month ago. Can you compare the nerves, the adrenaline, maybe the butterflies from that moment leading up to that versus maybe your first game at Auburn?
I woke up kind of like it was game day. Had a similar feel to it, a lot at stake, a lot of preparation that went into it. But I was more comfortable proposing than probably a game day because there's so much on the opposing side that can go wrong, a lot of things that they can do. But I was confident in her answer.
All right, we have a follow-up from Nathan King.
Hey Bo, so with the starting offensive line now still having a couple spots that they're working out through these first couple games, is there anything that the coaching staff has sort of relayed to you and that you're going to relay back to them about the projections that you see in these couple games, or is that just kind of all up to them at this point?
Well, it's kind of like everybody's on the same page and everybody sees pretty much the same thing, out there on the field, have different perspective than up in the box or on the sideline, and then a different perspective from what's going to show on film. There are going to be a lot of still growing pains the first couple of games just because it's new system, new ways of operations, new calls, new communication, and all that stuff. But I feel confident that the guys up front, especially Nick and those guys, Brandon Council, they have a lot of experience. They do a great job of communicating. And getting calls in and lining up right and going to the right guy. And so it's just going to be, mainly our communication, how fast we can get that communication on point and close to perfect as much as we can.
All right, our last question is Mark Murphy.
Yeah, Bob, can you talk about what you've seen from the defense speed-wise this year, quickness, and then how's the rebuilt secondary looking to you?
Just from our overall team speed on defense is really good. I feel like going against them a lot of different. Just from the past, I can tell different schematically. They're a little different, and those guys are flying around, getting to the ball. And you say rebuild, but it's not much of a rebuild. Just having Smoke and Roger and those guys back there, a lot of experience back there as well. Obviously, got a few new guys that will be making their first starts and first playing times, but it'll be easier with those guys back there with them, and then having obviously our elite linebacker core that's just played a lot of games and have a lot of experience. That's going to help us a lot. That's going to help the back end. That's going to help the safeties and essentially help in the running game so they can kind of float back there and be good in the passing game.
All right, that's it for Bo. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Honors will be with us shortly.